Hey yo, it's your boy Monster Man Rocco.
It's your boy Swagger Rock.
This is Snack the Ripper.
And you rap for those who don't know.
This is Master Ace. You are now rocking with the best. Breaking Records Radio.
Breaking Records, man.
Breaking Records Radio.
Breaking Records Radio.
Breaking Records.
Breaking Records.
Breaking Records Radio. Let's go.
Breaking Records Radio.
Press 5 now. How you check Breaking Records Radio.
Breaking Records, man. Radio is like the place to be. I don't fuck strange music, man.
So, you're now listening to Breaking Records Radio. My name is Alex, and I have here with me a very special guest by the name of Murphy Lee. As I'm sure most of you guys are aware, Lee came out in the mid to late 90s in the group St. Lunatics, alongside artists like Ali, Key One, Nelly, and City Spud. As a group, they sold mad records well into the 2000s, with their 2001 effort, Free City, going platinum by RIAA standards, and with Murphy himself dropping multiple solos like Murphy's Law in 2003 on Universal. As of now, he's prepping for a new album by the name of Second Time Around, which I'm sure we'll end up getting to in this conversation. What's good, my man?
How you doing, brother?
Oh, man, I'm doing fantastic on my end. How are you holding up there in St. Louis? I heard about the police officers that were shot there a couple weeks back, and I know with Michael Brown a few years ago in Ferguson, I'm sure it's a pretty hectic place to be, but are you staying safe?
Yeah, definitely staying safe. I'm down in Atlanta right now with my family. And, yeah, it's crazy down here, too, right now. It's just, just a lot going on. It's been going on forever. Just now it's finally on camera.
Yeah, I imagine. I seen that George Floyd video with everyone else, and it's heartbreaking. It shakes you to the core. But as you said, this happened on camera. It happens every day, not on camera, and it's a tragedy. I hope that I hope that the protests are able to lead to something that's more permanent, rather than just this kind of like weekly or monthly news cycle that we're so used to being in right now. Hopefully, there's some permanent change that comes from this.
Yeah, hopefully so. I think it's just more about the protesting is definitely leading to just about keeping the attention on it,
Yeah, no doubt.
until something is changed.
So the first thing I really wanted to talk to you about is in relations to that really early kind of 90s St. Louis rap history. And I heard you speak on interviews with like Ugly Money TV and said that St. Louis, when you were coming up, was really diverse with rap acts often mimicking different sounds from different regions. But that early history in St. Louis is something I'm really not aware of, and I wanted to end up learning more. I've done some research, names like Uncle Y or LOS, Lil Wit, and of course everyone that comes out of your crew, but I want to explore that as much as possible in this conversation. But when you were first getting started, were you aware that there was a local scene in your hometown, and were there guys even dating back to say like the 1980s that were already creating foundations?
There were a few. I was so young when we first started, so my memory as far as names was kind of shy, but it was one group that was like from my neighborhood called Bulletproof Records, and I think that's where that LOS comes from that you just named or whatever, Los. They were amazing, and they definitely were one of the ones that made us feel like we can do something on the professional level. So I think that was one of the ones, and it was also there was a few that made mainstream. Keep Sweat signed the group, Eazy-E signed a rap group. It was a few things that was out like early, like '93. That was like that was very motivational to us in St. Louis to be able to feel like we can take it to another level.
Were you guys affiliated with those groups at all? You mentioned a couple of the names, but were you
Actually,
guys putting together?
Actually, we kind of were. I'm not saying affiliate. I wouldn't say affiliated. I would just say with some of us went to school with them. Some of us, we had the same producers, things of that nature. Like as far as that Bulletproof Records, he made one of our first beats. And as far as the group that got signed to Keith Sweat, that we had the same producer, and half of them went to University High School the same way we did. Also, it was more people from U City High School. The ones that got signed by Eazy-E. They were from St. Louis and from the same neighborhood too, and we hung around and seen them a lot. And also, matter of fact, one of them was the guys who kind of like gave us an idea of the word St. Lunatics. You know what I'm saying? We was in the basement freestyling one day, and he literally said it in one of his rhymes, and he was like, "Y'all should name yourself something like that."
That's dope. Do you remember that lyric?
Nah, man. I told you I'm lost, man, on names and things. I told you I was a baby. I was so young.
What about the battle scene? Like, I've read about battles between, like, Fizzle, who I guess went by Uncle Y at the time, and LOS, but if you listen to your early records and with St. Lunatics, you can hear a different atmosphere than, say, what's on, like, Country Grammar. It's more aggressive, it's more street-oriented. Did you guys participate in the battle sphere at that time at all? In the 90s?
No, just regular neighborhood battles, stuff like that when you're just at the park or at a club or something like that, but not actual, like, set up like it's going to be a battle here, meet you there, and things of that nature, or putting money on it, or nothing like that. We didn't go that route. We were not battle rappers, but St. Louis actually bred some of the best battle rappers that you could possibly name now. So,
was there like organized leagues or anything, or like a regular like hip hop night at certain venues that had those battle spheres?
Saying that was so in New York. Like I can't even say that was in other places. That was so in New York. Even the underground scenes we would have some stuff, but it'd be more like open mic though, not set up battle scenes.
Gotcha. When do you think that like St. Louis bounce sound became a thing? Like I think by Country Grammar you start to see it polished, but if we're talking about St. Louis being so diverse, clearly eventually the city kind of hones in on a sound. Do you think that you guys were responsible for that?
Yes, we just don't have a St. Louis sound. We have a Lunatic sound, so that's what the thing was. Like St. Louis doesn't have one sound, so it was kind of hard to distinguish a St. Louis sound. Yes, we have a slur and we have a certain way we carry ourselves. Maybe we even have our own language, but as far as actual rap styles and things of that nature, we don't have one. What you hear from Lunatics is Lunatics. That's not even. That's 5 guys who like 5 different people in the world. You know what I'm saying? Who were motivated by 5 rappers out that weren't from St. Louis. And we meshed that together, and it became what it is. It's like, and then if you listen to everybody else from St. Louis, it's definitely, you may have some Lunatic influence, but it's not a St. Louis sound. It's a Lunatic sound.
Fair enough. I also noticed a lot of like Christian rap acts coming out of the city as the years progress into the 2000s, like Flame or Jason and Fizzle, who we mentioned. That seems weird, right? Like, do you think that had a part to play in kind of that overall, I guess, like sonic sound, let's say, or style that's coming out of St. Louis?
The style and the sonic, anything sonically, and sound like a lot of people using the same thing. It has to come from produce. Like sounds. That's one of those. I mean, people need to know. Right? The same way it starts with the DJ, it starts with beat. Now, the new DJ is now the producer. The producer is now part of the hip hop circle. You know what I'm saying? At first it was the DJ because they were looping old records. You know what I'm saying? So the DJ ended up being the producer a lot of times. So if you look at the early albums, most of the time whoever made the beat was actually somebody who knew how to DJ. You know what I'm saying? So now you got producers who do that now. So now they are controlling the and things of that nature. So you pick a certain beat, it's going to make you sound a certain way. It's going to make you rap a certain way. So I think a lot of times what you're hearing, if you are hearing people together, it's more of the beats that they're picking. But we always had different things, man, from country to Christian to hip hop, R&B. We got everything, man. St. Louis is like, man, we are the second Harlem Renaissance. Like we are literally where everybody went when in the 60s and 50s and 70s. Like that's where you had to go to St. Louis. You had to, and half of the people were from St. Louis. So a lot of artists, filmmakers, and things of that nature, and that comes from St. Louis. So we did we wasn't out our rim for like blowing up there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so popular to come from there and do something successful.
Yeah,
it may not have happened in the city, but most of the people come from there. So
yeah, it's really interesting. You talk about the I guess the current producer and what their role is in kind of the city's sound, and I think you're absolutely right. Like nowadays these producers are hardly even producers, right? They're just like beat makers. They don't really have any involvement in the sound of the record. But yeah, if you go back into the 90s, you have people like, well, DJ Premier, for example. Like these are DJs that ended up curating kind of the sound, and they would have been more in tune with what's going on in the city and what the city needs and thrives for. because they're DJs on the side or full-time DJs and producing on the side. I think that does. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that would end up kind of leading to a different kind of sound for a city than, say, we're going to end up getting today.
Yep, it's definitely the new ring for hip hop. You got the dancing, you got the DJ, but now you got the DJ is the producer these days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We need those producers because they are creating sound for what everybody's dancing to, and you know, the beat is leading.
Getting back into your career specifically, there's a couple records I wanted to talk to you about individually. One of them being that Welcome to Atlanta Coast to Coast remix that you did with Diddy, Ludacris, Jermaine Dupri, and Snoop Dogg. How did that end up coming together? I get the idea for the song and they wanted representatives from different regions, but how were you specifically brought into the mix, and how was St. Louis chosen to be represented at that time?
It was Jermaine. A lot of things. His career had led back to JD anyway. You know what I'm saying? Jermaine Dupri was one of the ones that turned down a Nelly deal early when we was shopping it, and he also was the one that we got our first production deal to even get moving. We went to his birthday party and got signed to a production company that eventually landed us the deal. So a lot of things was there from JD. JD's bodyguard is a friend of ours from St. Louis. He's been with him all his life. He's the one who got us in the birthday party, the whole nine. So when this came up, Nelly probably was the hottest thing walking. You know what I'm saying? So I and JD, I think, you know, after passing them up and things of that nature, and just being with the family and befriending him and all that, I think he just came to JD. I mean, JD came to Nelly and wanted Nelly to do it. And I think Nelly was a little busy, so he asked JD if it was cool for Murphy. He said. So it was just timing, man, being in the right place at the right time, just getting in a place I was like really getting into my craft, and I was in a good growing space, and Nelly saw that, and JD recognized it too from the work I've done on other features and on the Nelly albums and things of that nature, and after the Tick album things. I still didn't have a solo album yet, so it was kind of hard to see, but he said, yeah, man, he took the chance. And I mean, of course, I'm sure once he got the verse back, if it wasn't right, he wouldn't have used it, but for some reason I did well on it, and it went there.
Yeah, it's crazy that you said that Jermaine Dupri ended up not signing Nelly originally. It just seems like such a lost opportunity. Obviously, in with hindsight, you can see that it would have turned out well. But
if we'd have went the JD route, we wouldn't go on record the same.
Fair enough.
Because first of all, Jermaine Dupri is a producer, and as soon as we sign him, he's going to want us to use his beats. That's soft tops. You know what I'm saying? So we had our own sound with our own producers. We didn't use any big producers. We came in the game with our own, and created our own thing. And I think that was our key. So when he heard it as a demo, he didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying he didn't like it, but it wasn't nothing that he was signed. So he didn't hear it from the jump. So if we would have got signed by him, I'm sure he would have tried to change that sound.
Fair enough. Yeah, you would have lost that uniqueness.
We'd have lost our uniqueness. We'd have been like somebody else.
Fair enough. The other record I wanted to talk about is that Shake Your Tailfeather with Diddy and Nelly. Both songs, coincidentally, had Diddy with it. But what's the story here, and was it made specifically for that Bad Boy soundtrack?
No, Shake Your Tailfeather was the last song I recorded for Murphy's Law. It was the last beat presented to me by Coco. Coco was a first-time producer. And at the same time I was about to record these last few songs, Puff came and needed a song for the Bad Boy soundtrack. So we were able to deal in me being on it and that nature. So we didn't know if Diddy wanted us to be on a song with him or what. So come to find out, he wanted us to create something. So we had something in the chamber. Well, we at least had the beat in the chamber, so we were able to put that together. But it definitely was a situation where we were finishing up my album, and Diddy came right in time. And usually when you do in this kind of world we live in, as far as entertainers, usually when you come up with that last record of your album, man, it for some reason it'd be that one. So that was amazing to be able to have a Grammy, amazing to sell so many records off of that one song, amazing to be, it was a #1 song for maybe 2 or 3 weeks in the world. So it was amazing, man. So you can't ask for more than that, especially for your solo album. So it was amazing.
No doubt. Do you and Diddy still keep in touch?
Oh yeah, I see him when I see him.
Man, it's crazy. It's like one of those friendships that I don't know. It always seems so iconic, like a Diddy friendship and the parties and whatnot. You always hear the stories. I don't know, man. Diddy, it seems like one of the good friends to have.
Yeah, he's one of our OGs in the game that we always need to keep in your pocket, man. He's one of the ones who's going to look out for hip hop. So we always gotta remember that, especially at their age now. With him and Jay and a lot of vets. They're at that age now where they can actually look out for other artists, and you can see they're stepping up doing it. So it's amazing.
Exactly. I want to talk about what you're currently working on, and I've peeped most, if not all, of those Murphy Mondays that you've been putting out, and they're really well polished. Is this a sound for the new album? Are these cuts going to be out there?
I'm just trying to get my voice back familiar, man. A lot of people said they thought I was gone somewhere, but I draw music a lot, so I just wanted to get people back familiar. So I started once Kobe had passed away, I decided to do 24 weeks of Murph Mondays and drop 24 songs and see what comes from it. But in the midst of that, I plan on dropping a few projects. I dropped one 420 inspired project called Bo, the soundtrack to Reefer, and that's available on newmurph.com. It's also available on any streaming service that you have. And then I got a couple more that I'm going to drop, just little short EPs, and then we have the Second Time Around project. But the Murph Mondays, man, was, like I said, started with the Kobe, and I just wanted to get my family back familiar to Murph's sound, because I know it's a lot going on in the world, so it's kind of, people's attention span is pretty low these days, man. So I know I sound different. I know I'm in my own lane, so I'm trying to get people back familiar to the voice, back familiar to the flow, and before we drop the big bomb.
So these joints here for Murphy Mondays, these are exclusive to that series. They're not going to appear on another album?
If one buzzes like that and goes like that, but they're dropped as singles, so they're available on streaming service. Every week I make sure they're up on all the streaming services and things of that nature, so you can get it. But no, I have an album sitting, not even just sitting. I create every day, but it's basically done. Yeah.
Nope.
I have an album that's very special that needs to be dropped as a whole. I got songs. The songs I'm dropping now, they can be dropped as singles, and it'll be like fill-ins to albums. But I'd rather keep those as singles. I really have something special for the Second Time Around.
Gotcha. Yeah, when we were speaking to Key One, he was talking about the Murphy Mondays that you were doing, but also detailing that Second Time Around project. Do you have a label or anything kind of planned out for this release?
We're open for distribution, but it's going through the You See Me brand.
Gotcha. Are we going to see a St. Lunatics reunion on the album? Any Nelly features or anything of that sort?
You never know, man. Hopefully, man, that'd be great.
Gotcha. And when do you plan on having it out? Are you planning on releasing on like vinyl, CD, tapes, just digital and streaming? What's the plan for that?
We're doing it all for collectors. We're doing it all. We're doing the vinyl. We're doing the tape. We're also doing the CD for collector's edition. But everything goes digital. Everything goes streaming, and you're gonna be able to get everything on newmurph.com. Send everybody to my website.
The Second Time Around, are you planning on having that out before the end of the year, or?
I plan on it with the pandemic and things of that nature. I kind of want to watch the temperature of the world first
Fair
to
enough.
see if it's ready. But it's ready, man. We could drop tomorrow if we need to. I just want it. You got to be timing, got to be right. That's all.
That's dope. I'm really excited for the project. I'm definitely going to be peeping it when it comes out.
It's a special group of music, so I don't want to put it out at the wrong time, especially being independent.
Fair enough. Where can people reach you? Social media platforms, that kind of thing.
You go to newmurph.com and to get me, but I'm at Murph Dirty on IG, Murphy Lee on Facebook,
Perfect.
Murphy Lee on Twitter.
All right, man. Again, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out to speak to me here today. I greatly appreciate it. I'd love to have you back on whenever the project does come out or whenever you're promoting new material. Yeah, I'm excited for the project. Anyone listening, definitely go check out Murphy and go check out the back catalog too if you're not familiar with it. It's all dope music. And again, it comes with that St. Lunatics, that St. Louis sound. And yeah, it's dope shit.
Man, appreciate you, my brother. Thank you.
All right, you have yourself a wonderful night.
All right, you be safe, man.
Peace.